Hurricane Hunter aircraft investigated the hurricane this time yesterday and discovered winds of around 105 knots. By the time a weakening trend had already been noted in satellite imagery, and after 21 Zulu update, Yancey lowered the winds to 105 knots, and have since then lowered the winds to 90 knots at 9 Zulu time and 80 knots at 15 Zulu time. Blanca's pretty much on its last leg. The system for the Arctic Hurricane watch is in effect and tropical warnings in effect for the southern Baja California area, and even the tropical storm watch is up in effect for the central part of the peninsula. Overall, this hurricane's steadily weakening over significantly cooler water. The remnants of this hurricane likely, however, provide some showers and thunderstorms to where? The remnants of this hurricane likely provide some showers and thunderstorms somewhere in the southwest, or some models still disagree somewhat on the timing. It does appear that this moisture will be aided by an upper level low off to the north. This moisture will be aided by an upper level low off to the west, which is going to come in and enhance moisture chances across the southwestern United States. Right now, as of now, it's like southern Nevada, where I live, in western Arizona is looking like it's going to get the bulk of this. I mean, western Arizona is a typical spot for where eastern North Pacific tropical cyclones typically provide rain. So it should not come too much as a surprise that those are the target areas. Unfortunately, the main threat here with Blanca will not be the winds, fortunately. The main threat is going to be flash flooding and heavy rains. And turn around, don't drown, that old saying. Now, aside from Blanca, this week, it appears that we have an area disturbed weather. The Yankees finally mentioned in 48-hour outlook. It's been the 120-hour outlook for seemingly the whole week. Finally, Yankees started to increase the odds, and the Yankees giving us a 10% chance of developing within the next 2 days, and a 60% chance of developing within the next 5 days. However, this is a very tricky forecast because there's some disagreement. 6G GFS line really didn't do too much with it. Brought the system up as a tropical, brings the system up north as a tropical depression along the southern Mexican coast in a few days, in about 72 to 84 hour time frame, while the European system of medium range weather forecast for the European model can drift us northward very gradually and bring the system inland as a strengthening tropical storm later this week. Right now, I favor the GFS scenario, just because the GFS tends to do a little bit better in this part of the world. However, one thing that models will be on is heavy rains is very possible over the Central American coast, and thus has the potential to produce life-threatening flash floods and mudslides. System's likely to continue northward, and the remnants of the system could become a player in the Bay of Campeche. Model support of this scenario of the Bay of Campeche scenario has steadily diminished over the past couple days. However, given that it is the Bay of Campeche and that is where Atlantic system tends to actually blossom for a change, I would not rule out the idea. Even though the upper level winds are generally in the Atlantic in general in the past several years are not particularly favorable for development. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It also picks up moisture. But the system can affect Texas. Yes, Texas. A place that does not need it. But Texas is kind of drying out right now, partially thanks to the EPAC. Hurricanes Andres and Blanc, which kind of kept the Texas bridge to kind of rebuild back up. And once again kind of allow for the East Coast trough pattern that has been dominating for several years to return. It looks like this pattern's persisting for a little while, so we'll see what happens with Texas rainfall chances once again on the increase. But however, this Texas rain thing is still around a week away. It's also worth pointing out that, as usual, the Canadian model shows something totally different. It shows a strengthening tropical storm with a pressure around in the 990s, which on a global model like CMC, that's pretty low res. It probably corresponds to like a low-end hurricane or a high-end tropical storm. And the Canadian model has the system fell on the Mexican coast and participating in the cool waters that over Blanca's Lake. It's going to be interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Right now, we have a really cool Calvin wave. One that probably aided to some extent Blanca's second intensification. Moving over here, and we have the measuring to Calvin wave, so it'll be an enhanced phase for a few days. So as a result, I think that could allow for enough convergence at the surface and divergence aloft. Minimal surface divergence, and that should allow for a favorable environment aloft for tropical cyclones to develop near the Central American coast. And as I said, probably drift northward into either Central America or the Gulf of Tehuantepec area. And one more thing. And then after that, it looks like there may be some sort of dead period coming. However, by around June 20th, it'll be like some sort of break in between breaking tropical cyclones. However, by around June 20th, when once again the computer models get bullish. When the long range hints, when the long range convective Kelvin wave is supposed to come into long range around June 20th, and thus there's a possibility that computer models could become bullish again on tropical cyclone activity. However, they've not not picked up on this scenario because the GFS and European don't forecast convectively coupled Kelvin waves to develop in this part of the world, and anywhere in the world, more than I'd say 6 or 7 days in advance, I think. So therefore, when that time comes, assuming that a negative downward phase of the, not downward, but a suppressed phase of the Kelvin wave will be over the East Pacific, and the GFS assumes that conditions will persist from day 6 to 16. In addition, NJO is actually a little bit stronger than what I typically think it typically is at this time of year. And during El Nino years, it's a pretty decent signal in the Indian Ocean right now. And that along with the Kelvin wave is helping spark a cyclone in the North Indian Ocean. I mean, this MJO signal will likely weaken, and will likely sooner or later make it back into the Eastern Pacific because orbital Mars will focus it there. And when it happens, and the CFS is already hinting at that happening around the end of June and early July. And when that happens, I do think the western part of the basin could become very active like it typically does in July, where I kind of expect, given the fact that we've already seen some hints earlier in late May, remember Invest 90 and Invest 91, like near 130W, Remember those two systems? And that was pretty unprecedented. I mean, man, I think we can see that repeat itself like later June, early July. Except I do think NASA's climatology is a little bit more, would suggest it's a little bit more favorable. I do think now we could actually get a full-blown tropical storm to develop. I mean, those of you that were around last year can recall, the western side of the basin is a big source of tropical cyclone activity in active Pacific hurricane season. I think this year will be no exception, especially given the fact that we are in El Nino. The good news is that those systems won't be nearly as complicated to forecast as Andres and Blanca were, as usually those ones are usually straightforward. The track is straightforward, usually the forecasting areas are low. The only thing that can get kind of tricky is when you're talking about CC outbreak. It can get tricky because of the Warner effect, 4G effect, whatever the hell that's called. Yeah, another note, there was an incident yesterday. I probably shouldn't talk about this, but I am. It's just in me, and I don't want to hide the truth. Is that yesterday, something actually disgusted me a little bit. So on Facebook, on Facebook, there's an NAC intern that I actually know pretty well, that was bashing, that was arguing with someone over the importance of the JMA. I mean, that particular person that NAC intern was talking about, I mean, obviously doesn't think. Cut me off. Anyway, obviously does not think the JMA is the best of agencies, and I agree, but the person that he was arguing with, that person that he was arguing with is a she, and she was getting really offended and accused him of being racist, and so how disgusting it is. I mean, to be fair, the girl is Chinese, so she may not be used to being told the truth. That's a little bit disgusting that someone can get that offended when their own agency is being criticized. I mean, that person was banned from Storm 2K like a while ago, and as such received a boo from the Facebook groups. And you have to apologize largely because one is an agency intern, and you don't want bad blood. And two, I don't think he honestly intended to offend anyone. I do think it's really disgusting how blown out of proportion it is. It's so disgusting that people are not blunt enough in our society are like, get so touchy over these little things like this. It shows how shit. It shows that people don't have the maturity to handle certain things on the internet sometimes. Anyhow, I probably shouldn't have. Anyhow, do I have anything else to discuss? Oh, the HWRF is getting, which is the model, which is probably the top performing model this year, is getting an upgrade. HWRF is getting HWRF models, and JFDL too, I think, has got an upgrade today, when you can now forecast tropical cyclones worldwide, not just in the Eastern Pacific and North Atlantic. And I mean, to be fair, the HWRF and JFDL were the top performing models last year, especially the HWRF. JFDL was actually a little for a change, a little bit conservative as it is in the Eastern Pacific. Well, instantly the JFDL is quite bullish in the Atlantic. HWRF is pretty on target in the Eastern Pacific, and is overall pretty bullish in the Atlantic, though it did a good job last season for the most part, with the exception of Hurricane Cristobal. It did correctly depict Hurricanes Arthur and Gonzalo, and the Eastern Pacific did a good job with Hurricanes Amanda, Christina, Genevieve, Douglas, Ezel, Julio, I can go right down the line. Odo, I think it did an okay job with Mary as well. Actually, no, I think if memory serves correctly, HWRF and JFDL were too conservative with marrying. But this year, however, it was a different story. They were a lot more. They have been very conservative with both Andres and Blanca. Although both models did an okay job detecting the timing, the peak intensity, both models overdid significantly C6 temperature upwelling. That is what upwelling that warms the wave. That is why it was never quite bullish on it. I mean, with the HWRF and thinking that the C6 temperature is cooled to around 15C with the GFDL only taking it to a further extreme, and thinking that the C6 temperature is cooled to 13C. Meanwhile, the GFS was pretty keen, for the most part, and kept and believed, or what was I going to say? GFDL was pretty keen for the most part. Oh yeah, and the GFDL forecasted, and the yeah, that's what I was going to say. Excuse me for a minute. The GFS, however, did not show any upwelling. So that was an interesting model where it turns out overall, many of the models were particularly correct. It was kind of a blend of the GFS with the two extremes in the HWRF. And those are probably my two most top models that I rely on the most here. And that turned out to be the most, a blend of those two turned out to be the most accurate. Regarding the upwelling debate itself, oh, unit, 16 minutes, alright. Regarding the upwelling debate itself, it turns out that the C6 temperature maps that are indicated at 20 to 22C will result in an upwelling of 20 to 22 degrees Celsius, and it should take around a week or so to mix out. Eventually the warmer water should mix it out, and the C6 temperatures and the C6 temperature gradient off the west coast of Mexico should recover. I mean, overall, this comes out not too much of a surprise. So I did think with the warm oceanic heat content, sea surface temperatures would be a little bit warmer than that. But I was thinking around 24 to 25C. Anyhow, Northern Indian Ocean, there's an Invest 85A, and that the GFS and HWRF both forecast to become a severe or even super cyclonic storm in the Arabian Sea, and we all have to be monitored. I mean, obviously it's not the Eastern Pacific, but in the NIO or the Northern Indian Ocean, those systems there can be the deadliest in the world. Anyhow, what else was I going to say? This might be it, unless I can think of something else. Unless I can think of something else to discuss, I think this is it. Yeah, I can add something else. Oh yeah. That's it. If I have something else to discuss, I'll just make a separate video. Anyhow, that'll do it. Bye.